go. Parents' worst nightmare. You are at work, calling your kid, wake up, remind them to get up and get going, get their day. And I didn't hear anything back, which wasn't uncommon because he's a teenager. Because usually you just get up and go to work. Leave the kids, they get up and do their own thing.
It was a normal, very average day. We got up, we had our breakfast with strawberries and his usual breakfast, and I dropped him off at his grandparents' house. You could see him crying and upset, and I said my last words to him were, "Love you, Blue Eyes." And as he's reaching out, and that was the last moment I saw him alive.
Our therapist asked him if he would rather die or break up with his girlfriend, and he said he would rather die. And the way the question was worded, I didn't think he understood what she said. And she said, "You need to take him to the hospital right now." And we got in the car and I asked him the question again, more directly. And he said, "Oh no, I don't want to die."
Our son Doherty was 9 when he passed away, and he had Alfie syndrome, which is a chromosomal deletion. We didn't know in pregnancy that there was anything wrong at the time until he was born. And he was nonverbal and wasn't very mobile at all, so we did a ton of therapy with like PT, OT, all the T's. We did all his life, basically.
A lot of tests.
Yeah, lots of tests. He was kind of a big question mark because Alfie syndrome is so rare. I think there's under 500 people with the official diagnosis in the world.
We were expecting, not unlike right now, almost the same time of year. So, and it was December, so my due date was the 19th, and we just went a few days over, and everything had been normal, standard, healthy, great. And so went into labor all kind of as textbook as it can be. Heart rate was great. I was being told that I was doing awesome, and we just were kind of, waiting and excited. I mean, I was in a different headspace, but we were just really excited to finally meet our first born baby.
In the spring, late spring of 2016, I think we had noticed that Ryan seemed to have an extended abdomen, and wasn't really sure why he had that. We had taken him in to see the people at the Children's Hospital, and they looked at it and they had just thought it was, kind of some bloating, some, constipation, gas, and so on. They thought it should resolve itself in a couple of weeks.
I open up the door and I'm washing up from the work, and I see his shoes at the door. And I see his shoes at the door, and I say, "Something's wrong," inside. I run down the stairs, and it's just after 4:30-ish. And I see he's laying in bed, sleeping. And I'm yelling from the stairs, "Get up, it's almost 5. Like, what are you doing? You wasted your whole day." And I go up and I touch his leg and wake up.
And I got a call at just before 11 o'clock that day, and it was Ainsley, and saying that we need to get to the South Health campus immediately. And driving there, found out that Colin had walked out the back door at his grandparents' house and fell into the lake. They couldn't find him for a period of time, and when they did, they took him to the hospital right away.
The day he was not well, just before he passed, was just like any other episode, we called it.
Everything was going great until it wasn't. The OB was called in, and there was a flood of people coming in, and the heart rate was going and going down. We thought, oh, this isn't sounding great. Things are looking like something might be not going well, to delivering Jasper. It's hard to go back to that moment. And I delivered him, and, felt proud of that, but also knew something was really wrong. And
I was proud of you too.
yeah.
Then we had gone off on a family holiday with some family friends and Joe's brother and sister-in-law. Sister-in-law who's a physician as well, and down in BC.
Something was wrong. I ran and grabbed my phone. Call 911. I was screaming, "Wake up!" And I started giving him CPR.
It was probably about 2 weeks after that, and I said, it's 10:30, you need to get in the shower and get to bed. We were always fighting about bedtime. And he just said, okay, fine, and he slammed his iPad closed, and he went upstairs, and that was the last time.
I was on shift till about midnight or 1, and then I tapped Doug on the shoulder and sent him downstairs to take the next shift. And he got Doherty to settle down. And then when I came downstairs, about 5:30, 5:45, I went in. Doug was asleep on the couch, and I checked Doherty, and he was gone. So it was completely unexpected in that way. Obviously, we were shocked, and our world instantly changed.
Imploded.
Yeah.
They took him aside and were working on him. And at that point, still thinking, okay, he's just taking a bit longer to breathe, and they're just he's having a hard time, but they'll get him. And, in not even really entertaining the idea that anything was really, really wrong yet. Your brain can't process that in 5 minutes, let alone your body and everything else. So, unfortunately, they had a hard time resuscitating him.
He was examined, and they concluded that yes, there was something there. They wasn't sure what it was, and so he was checked in the hospital, and then about a day later, they diagnosed him with stage 4. Eventually found a stage 4 neuroblastoma. Is what they suspected. They didn't quite know what it was at the time. They had to do a biopsy, and that kind of began our journey of dealing with cancer.
He was just peaceful, beautiful.
He had passed, and the doctor came in and called the time and said, after consulting and with everyone, that it was as much as they could do. And from there we had a couple hours with him, holding him, caring for him.
And when I went upstairs, I saw that his light was still on in his bedroom, and his door was closed, and I walked in there and saw him hanging from his bed. He had a loft bed. And, then everything changed in that flash. Came to the hospital, and we went in that bay right there in that blue one. And they were all working on him and had him intubated and everything already. They just made him even look like my boy.
Because Jasper had just been born, for me anyways, there was a big disconnect that I also struggled with. So you're trying to, bond with your baby, and you can't hold him. You can't change his diaper. You don't get to do any of those things you imagined, and instead you're faced with unimaginable things. And there's no prenatal class for that.
From there, it was just trying whatever different things that we could until eventually, the doctor said there was nothing else that we could do. And he fought, with everything, and he did everything that he could, but he succumbed to his illness on September 19th, 2018.
Just numb. Numb is a good word. Just, is this really happening? Like, for the longest time, I thought he was still coming home. A long time. Long time. I'd say at least 6 months. Because I would lay in bed at night and I would still think I hear him opening the door to come in. You get your routine, when you wake up in the morning, think, what are the kids going to eat today? Oh yeah, he's not here. I find I do a lot of weird things. Like, I'll go check if my daughter's still breathing. She's 19, but I'll still go and I'll check on her.
Time was really standing still. And in the early days, all I did was cry. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to go to bed. I didn't want to move. I just sat in that chair in the kitchen and cried. Melissa, always, she was always trying to make me smile. And she still does that. And she does make me smile. And she'd say, "What's that, Mom? Is that your crying towel?" And I would say, "Yes," because I was just going through too many Kleenex and the towel was easier. And lots of times I wasn't even wiping my face. I just, it was really numb.
Constantly, you look after someone, you raise them, they're yours. You love someone, you care for someone for so long, and it just stops.
My brain was completely different than what it was before. It felt like I was more anxious. I would react to really strange things. There was a time that I was, when I was at my peak of anxiety and depression, I was really obsessed with certain things. One time it was like, the one thing that really sticks out was I needed a leaf blower. And I needed it right this moment. That anxiety just kept building up in different things, and it wasn't until we started really unpacking that I started really realizing that how different my brain was functioning. That I wasn't the same.
It was just numb. Like, seriously, I couldn't care about anything. But I also didn't want to be here. I remember laying in the tub, thinking I could just go away. I could be with him again. It'd be so easy. But I have my daughter. I couldn't do that to her. If I could do anything, if I could have given him my breath, I would have.
because Doherty passed at home, I felt like I had to get back to work a few weeks after, probably about 3 weeks after, which in hindsight was very fast. But I also needed it. I needed to not be in the house and sitting there and replaying it over in my head over and over and over and over again, because that's where I was going. And so I felt like I needed to go to work, and I was the most unproductive employee. The fact that I kept a job is a miracle, because I was literally just sitting there taking up space. But I had a lot of support at work too, which was really important. And so I think where we differed is that Doug stayed home longer, and he needed to do that for him. And I'll let you talk about that.
But I'll have to say that I didn't stay home long enough.
Yeah.
I wish I would have stayed home just a bit longer. There were some things that I hadn't worked through yet, and I felt pressure because she went back so early. I felt like I should have also gone back right around that same time, and I just simply wasn't ready.
It's pretty debilitating, really. And, you know, I can't sleep without medication, and I can't concentrate a lot of times. I'm very forgetful, not just about, well, a lot of things have to do with dates and things like that. I'm always so focused on just getting through the day that I don't always remember what I'm supposed to be doing. I've become very sedentary, and I really like to be by myself a lot of times. And I think that all goes back to I'm afraid of reliving things, you know? When I'm at home, I just like to feel like it's just me and Mitchell at home. And lots of times I don't want anybody else being around me and intruding on my space with him. I don't go in his room. I haven't been in his room for, I think February was the last time I was in there. I don't even remember. And I can't listen to videos with his voice. It's just too hard.
Lots of crying, lots of staying in my room, dark, just laying in bed, not wanting to do anything.
I have a short fuse for anything. Starbucks lines. If something doesn't feel right or I don't feel comfortable, I just dash. I know that's trauma, dealing with trauma.
For me, it was waking up and realizing that it wasn't a dream, and reminding myself that this was our reality. I think walking past his bedroom every day, going down the stairs, it was like, right, that bed wasn't slept in. And he wasn't, there were so many times where I thought maybe I just dreamt about him. Maybe he was never real. Then you'd kind of get up in the morning and Rhett would say something, and it was like, right, yeah. So I think just the new reality, the new normal of living our days without Colin.
I've learned everyone grieves differently. My daughter is hurting, but she's trying to be strong for me. And now we're a year and a half later. She's going through it because she had to hold on and be so strong.
Visualizing what it must be like for my wife, for Brita, like that I tried to make space for in my mind as much as I possibly could. But in saying that, it's not easy to do that. So it's always going to be different for everyone.
Or when we come to therapy sessions, especially when we were coming together, I was always surprised that I would hear him speak about things in the way that I was experiencing them.
Yeah,
And
same here.
that was, so you learn a lot even about what you're going through by listening to your partner. You know, especially I remember him talking about going to the grocery store for the first time and how, or, you know, the first month or something, and how that felt to be out in public. And, you know, he described it as feeling like he was in this bubble and kind of out of body and, you know, just bizarre. And I remember thinking that's exactly how I felt, and that we hadn't spoken about it. And I think, you know, sometimes you're afraid of when to bring it up. You don't want to go there if someone just needs to get some things done and they don't have the space to, you know, really dig deep into their grief. But when you do, and you give yourself opportunities, whether it's in therapy, which I would recommend so much to everyone, is just go. It's not, it feels scary, it feels hard.
Foreign, it feels.
Yeah. It is hard, but especially as a couple, I think it's so valuable.
Your spouse or your partner, what they're looking for from you is just support and try and help them along in the process.
I think keeping those communication channels are very important. If we didn't keep those communication lines open, I'm not sure we would have been together, because I grieve in a certain way and he didn't. And I was like, why is he acting that way? Why is he not talking about Ryan? I talk about Ryan every day, and he is off at work and he comes back and we talk about Ryan and he disappears. That this was his way of grieving, that I understood that this was his way of grieving, that not everybody is the same, and to give him his space, to give him what he needed. And that sometimes just because you don't act in a certain way that your spouse does doesn't mean that they're not hurting, doesn't mean that they're not grieving.
It was the balance of trying to be authentic in your grief and show him what that looks like and allow him the comfort to be able to express when he was missing Doherty and things like that. I mean, still to this day, if he hears one of us getting choked up about anything, but especially if it's Doe, he'll come running in and give us a hug. And he's very incredibly empathetic.
That's awesome.
Which he was, I think, just having a sibling with special needs creates that empathy in the first place. Understanding it and the finality of death and what it really means, and kind of re-grieving. And we find he'll go through stages where he kind of reprocesses it, and it's hard to watch, but I'm just so proud that he's comfortable in sharing it with us and talking to us about it. And we've made a real point about talking about Doherty as much as we want, and we don't shy away from it. We don't force him to talk about him if he doesn't want to. But if he brings them up, we just say, what do you remember? And what was your favorite thing? And what do you miss right now about that? Because his memories will change, and they've skewed a little bit, but just that the love and the memories he has.
And Shanna has always put together these books, these family albums. And, you know, we take those moments to, let's look at some pictures. You know, not only does he get to kind of dive into them as well, refresh his memory of these moments, but he's looking at moments before he was even born. And he gets to see Doherty with tubes and with the dog being a puppy and everything. So, and it's a nice way for us to relive those moments as well.
When we found out the news that I was expecting, it should have been joy. It should have been happiness. But instead, it was anger. Anger that Ryan was gone and that we should have the space to grieve for Ryan. But instead, it was shared now with another new little Chen coming into the world. How can I ever be happy now? Even if we have this new bundle of joy, supposedly, how can we be happy when we've experienced such loss? But at the same time, we have Aiden, because he also deserves our attention. The intricacies of grief are very complex. The grief that Aiden saw may have been different in terms of when I was alone, and the grief that I felt when I was pregnant was also different as well.
I'd get calls, "Are you better yet?" What do you mean I'm better? I'm not going to get better. I think people find comfort in if you're how you were before. I'm not how I was before. I'm not going to be.
And I think because we didn't have to worry about anything else, the hustle and bustle was going on around us, but we could just be. We could be together, we could be honest, we could cry when we needed to cry, we could hug it out, we could take time for ourselves if we needed to. I think most people were pretty respectful of that. And like I said, we had an open door. We had neighbors dropping by. There was one night, I think we had 45 people just around the house.
Yeah, we're very lucky that way. Our community just came around us and held us up. And we worked really hard at also letting people in, but also setting boundaries. We made sure that at 8 o'clock each night that we were given the space to be with each other.
I had to fight that within myself to validate that I was and am. So I do kind of unapologetically remind people if they forget, or they think it's easier for me to forget, or all those things, that it's not easier. It isn't hard for me to hear his name or to speak about him. It's harder to not. It's harder when people ignore what happened, or it's uncomfortable for them, so they don't want to talk about it.
I don't hide my grief from anyone. I can't. And I know that some of my friends, I post things on Facebook, and I know some of them are thinking, oh, here she goes again, or whatever. But if I was talking about Mitchell in a day-to-day, he's alive doing things, they wouldn't have any problem with it.
You really learn very fast who your people are. And just because you're connected by blood doesn't mean that they're necessarily your people, or just because it's your best friend or someone you've known since you were a kindergartner, and you think that person's your person, they might not be your person.
People are all looking at life through different lenses and different circumstances, so of course they're going to have different reactions. Sometimes they align with what you feel is really happening, and other times they're just not even appropriate.
There's always surprises of people that you thought that would be there for you that kind of disappear, and I think and partially I think you do understand that, because I look back on myself where I had friends of mine whose children were maybe going through some difficult medical issues, and often they don't know how to interact with you, or what to say, or what to do. And so I do understand that, but there are people that we just all of a sudden didn't hear from during Ryan's illness, which I think was disappointing. But I think, thankfully, more so is that we had friends that spent countless hours doing everything that they could to support us in our time of fighting Ryan's illness and afterwards, and they were invaluable in terms of being able to support our family.
I think after when Ryan passed, I think we also see a shift in some relationships. I know for my brother and sister-in-law, we did have some conflict, and I didn't understand why. We had been so close during Ryan's journey. And now that I look back, I think in their own way, they were grieving. and they didn't know how to grieve and interact with us in a healthy way.
I think Dylan had reached out and kind of said, Happy Father's Day to this person. And, they were like, yeah, thanks, man. Soon you'll be able to celebrate too, because they knew we were expecting again. They were at the service and they're, fairly close friends. And, they would have no idea how gutting that is. Luckily, we've, I think, tried really hard to be honest with people and kind of challenge that a bit. So Dylan, said, actually, I'm celebrating mine right now. And we were celebrating, in much as you can celebrate. I would say more, honoring that Dylan is a dad, and it's not,
And you're a mother.
Yeah, and I had friends who did give me Mother's Day cards, and that meant everything.
It sounds so strange, but a friend of mine told me just to sit in my grief. Find time to sit in your grief. So I'd go and I'd bring out his hoodie or one of his jackets, and I'd just smell and just let myself cry and think about him, and not try to put it off, not try to hold it in, just let myself go. And I was by myself, and I think it helped.
We take little guys like this to Mexico with us. Dory loved the Hulk.
It was his
And we take a picture and we lay him out in the cabana with us and we celebrate his day. We still buy gifts for him and we donate them in his name.
For me, one of the things that I do when I'm feeling anxious, and if I'm trying to sleep, if it's at night and the highlight reel's going through my brain and it's upsetting me, is I focus on my breathing and I do the 4-7-8 exercise, and it just kind of settles me and grounds me, and I'm able to kind of calm my head, and just trying to allow myself the time to go into those deep holes when I need to, but then also making sure that I come out of it. And I think we're pretty good about helping each other and being there to throw the lifeline when we need it, because fortunately, if I'm deep, he's usually not too deep, so usually we can help kind of balance each other out, and I couldn't do it without him.
Getting the tattoos is more of it's really cathartic for me. That makes me feel like I've got a little piece of him with me all the time. That's really helped me in my grief. I really like doing projects, art things that make me think of him. And thankfully there's a lot of those around, although nothing's happening right now, but I'm doing my own things. I always keep flowers for him, pink ones, and when I go out, I always feel that he's directing me to certain things that I would like, that, look at this, Mom, doesn't this remind you of me? And all the jewelry that I wear now is something either has his name on it. I get a lot of personalized jewelry, or his birthstone, and I wear his initials, and this is his birthday, this moon. That's what the moon was on his birthday. This is a little drawing that he did. He used to put on all our cards.
I've met some people through group, which was amazing, to hear other people's stories, because I wanted to hear how other people grieved. Things I was going through, I wanted to know if they were normal. Like, I just wanted to see how other people dealt with triggers, because that was a big thing for me, is I didn't want to be out and see something or somebody remind me of Wes and I just break out into tears for no reason, like just to deal with the different things. But yeah, so I've been doing individual, I've been doing group, and then one of my group sessions we actually continued on. We just have a Zoom session set up where it's just like a bunch of friends. We just friends in grief, but we can just share our stories, our days, what our experiences are, and just try to connect that way. But I wasn't open to group at the beginning, I'll tell you that. I was very nervous. I still get nervous a little bit when we get together, but I just wanted to know someone who went through the same experience as I did. I only wanted to look at a book and read about a book where someone had the same experience as I did, and that's really hard. I had to like open up and just like listen.
On the anniversary of his death, we get blue heart balloons, and we go around to all the people who were really close to us and helped us during that initial grief phase. And we delivered blue heart balloons to all our friends that were really helpful, and our neighbors. And we go around, and it's a wonderful time to spend as a family with Rhett. He gets to deliver these balloons and remember Colin. We deliver him to a bench in the park where that's dedicated to him, and we go and get a chance to see all of our friends and thank them as well for the support they gave us. And so that's really special. We love doing that.
Every day I walk down the stairs and his picture is there on our island, and I light his candle every morning and we blow it out when we go to bed. And we have pictures of him everywhere. We both have blue heart tattoos. Shortly after Colin passed, people started sending us the blue heart emoji on their phones. And so very quickly, the blue heart became symbolic of Colin in our world, in our community. We have a blue heart out front of our house. We have blue heart decor in our house. We have tattoos. We have kids' tattoos that our kids both wear quite regularly. We both have blue fingernails that represent Colin. All of these are rituals to keep him alive and present and part of everyday conversation. When someone says, "I like your nail color," it gives us an opportunity to say thanks. It's in honor of my son who passed. Maybe more than what people were expecting us to say, but there's a reason that we do it. It's all intentional, and it's all so that we can keep him with us every day.
When we were driving home, we could see up in the sky, there was a sundog, so little rings around the sun, and we thought, well, it's Doe, saying that he's okay. And I didn't really think too much of it until the next day, and there was another one. And then the next day, and literally for a week, every single day after he passed, there was one. Yeah, so for us, it's just looking for signs that he's around. And it's helpful for both of us.
Wes was at the lake the week before he died. He died the day after he got back. The day before they were in the shoe shop, a dragonfly landed on him when he was in the water. And no one really thought it. They thought it was cool. Everyone was with them, but they didn't really say. Anyways, he came home and after he, this sounds insane. After he passed, dragonflies would appear. Lots of dragonfly stories.
There are steps forward and steps back, but there's always one more step forward. And if it's a few steps back, then I know that at some point it's going to be a step forward.
I don't have those deep grief days like I used to. You know, it was a couple times a week, and now it's more every couple months. It's a really weird life without Mitchell. I don't like it. But I'm just going with it, you know.
Now, when something comes up that reminds me of an experience that we had with Ryan, whether it's the smell of something in the cafeteria or whether it's a song that we heard when he was just about to go for surgery, it really triggers you. So that would be something traumatic, I think, that we've taken, that we've continued to take almost, 2.5 years later.
If I were to, look at where I am now and go back to those early days, I'm sure like there's significant growth or shift, let's say, in the grief and the way it looks for me. There's some instances where I can see what I would call progress. It feels like progress to me.
The lows aren't as frequent. I would say that they're still as low because there's like even on the weekend I was having a day and it was just a day. So I would say it still hurts just as bad, and all of those feelings are still there, which is maybe not encouraging, but what is I think helpful to know in this journey is that it's not as constant. It's not in the beginning. It's constant every hour, and then it's every maybe 2 hours, and then it's every day, and then it's every week. And so I would say it's less frequent. I would say more so around significant days, so holidays and things that I know are going to be harder.
Don't put high expectations on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. This is not a time for that. Best thing you can do, from my experience, is just to try to remind yourself to remain cognizant that you need to take care of yourself and get through and do it for your child. If for nothing else, do it for your child.
I think surround yourself with people who are supporting you. Keep the negative people away, even if it's your immediate family. Never apologize. That's one thing that I've learned. I'm my authentic self now, and I don't apologize for that. I'm not gonna pretend for anyone. And I think that's really important, and to allow yourself to grieve.
Best advice I can give is do something that makes you feel good. So being active, so bike, walk, get out, get some fresh air.
You're not alone, and it feels like you're alone. And yes, you're the only one who knows what it was like to be your child's parent. But there are other people who have similar experiences. There are other people out there who can support you. And again, the support in the mental health realm is incredibly important. And it's hard for men especially to say, I need help. And often we're out there to support our families, and we got to be the breadwinner, and we have to do this, we should. But it's so important to get the help you need when you need it. I can't say enough for the amazing supports in our community, and in other communities as well. There's lots of avenues to go. It just takes a bit of time to find those opportunities, and when you do, it helps so much.
I would say, for me, for sure, staying connected with some of the parents that we met through the grief group, and just knowing that there's other families that get it, that just understand that, you're in this club you don't want to ever be part of, and you can never get out of. And so just knowing that there's other families there, that you barely have to say a word and they just know, they get it.
It's a long process. Take as much time as you possibly can to care for yourself. Know that you're surrounded by an amazing community of grievers, people who have traveled that road before, and that the grief will change. Your child will always be present in your life. Just because they're not here physically, there will always be a part of you. And it's scary at first because we both have said that, I don't want to forget him. And it's sounds silly now thinking back at that, but it's an actual fear of that you're going to forget all these moments, and you don't. They're there. Sometimes they're different than what you may have. They come up in different ways than what they normally would have. But yeah, that you'll never forget them. I think that's what I want to say.
We had loss of friends who just couldn't be there and couldn't speak his name and couldn't be open to some discomfort and sit with us in our pain. And that's hard because you have to let those people just go.
Be patient with yourself, be patient with your partner and your kids. Be selfish, allow yourself to be selfish, say no to things you don't want to do, accept help. When people want to bring you meals or clean your house, say yes. And I think being authentic, being vulnerable, allowing yourself to accept your new normal, I think is huge. But I also think that don't let them disappear from everybody's lives.
You're not alone, and you'll get through it. And just take it minute by minute. If you can get out of bed, then that's all you can do, then that's a win for that day. And then the next day, if it's, getting into the shower and showering the next day. So you get out of bed and then you shower. That's all you have to do. Just try to keep going forward, not moving past it, because I hate when people say that. I hate when people say, well, you'll get over this, or you'll move through this, and you don't. I don't think that's a fair way to characterize it, but I think you learn to live with it. And I think, in terms of encouragement, is that there's good days coming, and the joy does come back. There's still bad days, and I don't want to pretend there's not. But a lot of the times now we're able to talk about Doherty and remember Doherty.
Celebrate Doherty.
With love and laughter and happiness, and it doesn't cause us to fall apart. Some days it does, but less. It gets a little bit easier to celebrate him and not be a mess about it all the time.
It doesn't matter if you've lost your infant child to cancer, suicide. We're all hurting. We're all hurting the same.
Why couldn't I have done more? Or why didn't I do this? Or if I had only. And I mean, I don't think it would have mattered. We still would have lost him. He passed in his sleep. He passed peacefully.
With a smile on his face.
And he had a smile on his face. So we hang on to that.
I would say that your child was here for a reason, and there's purpose behind that. And part of that purpose is the rest of your life. My child was here for 6 days, and I have the rest of my life to honor his life. And I will continue to honor his life.
All I have now are my memories of him. So I'll keep him alive that way. Mm-hmm. Oh, this necklace, I always forget because it's a part of me, but this was from his organ donation. And there was another little heart inside, and that was, we each tied one onto his wrist, and those were cremated with him. And this is really symbolic of what my heart is like now, with a big hole in it. And he took that piece with him. And I have to remind myself lots of times too that
He saved 3 people's lives when he died. There really isn't anything good that comes out of losing your child, but I can't ever say that this happened for a reason, because there is no reason why this happened. But 3 people are living because he died.
And to go easy on yourself and not put any expectations on yourself. There's no ribbon at the end of this, and my grief is different than his grief and different from their grief, and everyone else's grief looks different, and there's no formula for it, and there's no right way or wrong way. So just do what you need to do and honor your child and remember your child, which you will, and it will get better. It won't be perfect again, but it'll get better.
I think for me, when Ryan passed, I didn't think I would listen to music anymore because that was something that Ryan loved to do. I didn't think I would be able to laugh or smile because you're just in this zone in terms of just this grief envelopes you, and it's so big that sometimes you don't know how to even get out of it. But during that time, we have smiled, we have laughed. Hearing our kids laugh and say funny things like that brings a bit of ourselves back. So even though we were so broken when Ryan passed away, there's some mending. And I think there's hope for the future because by sharing Ryan's story, that also gives us hope that there will be a cure one day and that the funds that we raise will help another family so that they don't have to go through what we had to go through. And I think that gives us hope for the future.
All right, guys. So this video was a bit tough for me to watch, not gonna lie. As I watched it, I definitely saw pieces of myself in it as a grieving mom, but also as a woman trying to rebuild. So this dream wasn't so much about comparing pain or things of that nature, but it was more for me to watch in reflection, truth, and just basically learning how to rebuild and breathe with a shattered heart. So let's start with a deep breath. It's discussion time. I don't normally do discussion time after I watch videos, but I feel like this video kind of requires a little discussion time for me. So let's talk about it. This video, they kind of like start with the circumstances of loss, how it happened, how sudden, or how expected or unexpected it was, and how it changes everything after. For some parents, it was an illness. For others, it was sudden. For me, it was unexpected. A normal day that became basically like the worst day of my life, really. Um, the video said circumstances shape your journey, but the love is the same. I felt that. I did. But I also know when it's sudden, you don't get to say goodbye. That shit really hits different. Like, it hurts bad. Not being able to say goodbye is detrimental. And it'll tear you apart if you let it. It doesn't stop feeling that way. It just keeps playing like an echo. Like, you kind of have like an outer body experience, if that makes sense. So, I'm not sure if anybody in here has lost someone. I'm pretty sure you have. If you haven't, or if you have, or you know someone who has, do you think how we lose someone changes the way that we grieve? I'm not really sure. I, hmm. That is very true. That is very true. Time definitely does not always heal the wounds. Sometimes it can make it worse, and that's absolutely also true. Time does help you cope. It helps you be able to navigate through the pain. It just helps you um, navigate better the new life that you have to live with such turmoil. So in the next part of the video, they showed like what those first days were like, the numbness, the disbelief, the exhaustion. Yes, it navigates, it changes throughout the years. It just, hit or miss, hit or miss. Um, this second part of that video, talking about those first days, it really hit me hard, y'all. Like, I remember losing everything, my appetite, my sleep. Shit, me, to be honest, like, let's just be real about it. I lost the sense of time. I lost everything. Um, it showed different parents talking about how they barely remembered anything after. I definitely can attest to that. I really don't remember much aside from just sitting on the side of my bed and crying for hours. You just there. I literally turned into a soulless shell that day. Like, I became something that I didn't ever, ever imagine that I would have to deal with. What they didn't talk much about though was how long that feeling lasts. Like, sometimes months, sometimes years. That feeling never goes away ever. Those first everything, the first everything after losing someone that you love, most importantly, a child, never goes away ever. So I'm going to ask, did you ever go through a stage, chat, where you were physically or you were there physically, but you were mentally gone? I feel like I'm physically here every day. Mentally, I may take a break. I check out every couple days. And that's just me being honest. Like, every couple days, I will occasionally check out mentally. Um, Segment 3 of that video was basically about grieving together. This was for like couples or, things of that nature. How family members grieve differently and how that can actually drive a wedge into your relationship with your significant other or a family member. Um, some people cry, some people shut down, some people try to stay busy. Everybody just handles it in a different way. But it's easy to feel like you're grieving alone a lot of the times, even when there's a lot of people around, even when you can laugh and joke and smile with people, even when you can have a very intellectual conversation, you can still feel like you are in that room or in that conversation or just in life by yourself. That's exactly how that can feel. That's definitely one of the hardest parts for me. I wanted people to understand my pain, but we are all broken and fucked up in our own way. Hey, depression is a bitch, okay? Like, excuse my language, but that's just real. Like, depression is a royal bitch, and attached that to grief is just something unimaginable. Like, mental health, what is that? No bullshit. Like the video says, be patient with one another. But sometimes shit, patience run out and you just hurting. Like, I don't got the patience for this. I don't have the patience to understand that you shut down while I'm in fucking tears. I don't have the patience to understand why when I talk about our pain or, what I'm going through, you don't have anything to say. You're just looking at me, or you just disappear. You don't call. You don't like. AG. I'd rather be alone sometimes, and that's scary for me. Let's just be honest. Segment 4 is facing the world again. This is talking about going to the grocery store for the first time, maybe returning back to work, or just dealing or interacting with people after the loss itself. They talked about re-entering into the world, like I said, co-workers, church members, friends who don't know what to say. You get the and these things really annoy me. You're so strong. She's in a better place, or I'm praying for you. It sounds kind, but it does absolutely fucking nothing for the fact that I'm still hurting. Thank you. I appreciate that. The words are encouraging. However, that ain't helping me. It don't help shit over here. And sometimes what we need is not advice. It's presence. I just be wanting sometimes somebody to just sit over here and fucking look at the walls with me. No bullshit. Like, just come sit over here, smoke with me, watch the dumbass shit I be watching on TV with me. Like, you don't have to say a word, just sit here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you to say nothing. I just need you to cry with me. I just need you to hug me. It's simple. At least to me. Um, the video also mentioned how people mean well, but often fall short. Exactly. Just be around. Please. Just that's all we asking. They mean well, but they fall so short. Because unless you've lived it, you can't fully get it. You don't understand. Unless you've literally had your feet in these shoes, you don't understand. You won't get it. You're going to feel like I'm crazy because I'm sitting in here and just the fucking smell of something makes me fucking lose my shit. 110%. It happens regularly. Like a Mack truck smacking me in the back of my fucking neck. No cap. So, what is something that someone said to you that actually helped? Or maybe something that really didn't? I already told y'all what people say to me. It don't help shit. And I'm pretty sure a couple of you guys have heard the same exact phrases. So the video ends with stories of parents finding hope again through memories, advocacy, therapy, love. For me, hope didn't just come back one day. I had to rebuild it. I'm still working on it. We still under construction. Let's just be honest. Um, and that's what Split Hearts became. A safe space to turn pain into purpose. Every journal, every butterfly, every happy healing, it's all for Zanani. Grief never ends. it transforms. It just changes over time. It's there, it's stuck, it's up. It is what it is, type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, this is life's way of telling you to put your big girl pants on and just keep it fucking pushing. Figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, and that fucking sucks. But hey, life's a bitch, right? Someone told me to just let it go. Wow. Wow. Yikes. See, that's a conversation for another Sunday. That's a conversation for another Sunday. Because we really gonna have to get some straightening on that. People need to understand that depression is not just something you can get over. It is definitely a mental illness and it will fucking chew you up and spit you out. But watching this video, honestly, it reminded me of something. It reminded me that life after loss isn't about moving on. It's about moving forward, carrying love forward. I'm not gonna say that that's easy. I'm not gonna say that that's easy because it's a task. Honestly, it's definitely a task. So tonight, I want you all to remember this. You are allowed to heal slowly. We are allowed to heal slowly. You are allowed to have bad days. I am allowed to have bad days. We are allowed to have bad days. You can have bad days and that's okay. That is okay for you to have bad days. And you are allowed to miss the people or the ones that you've lost forever. You are allowed to do that. We are allowed to fucking miss the people that we lost for however long we fucking missed them. That's our right. We're allowed to do that. Because at the end of the day, to be honest with you, love really doesn't die. It changes. Love changes. Grief changes. Happiness changes. Sadness changes. These are emotions. They regulate themselves based on experience. They change over time. Absolutely, absolutely. The chat says I want people to remember that the parts of life that's worth living aren't easy to come by. So if you need a reason to fight or keep going, just think about that. That's real. That's real and that's honest. And that ain't no cap. Ain't no cap in my Yemmy's rap, okay? Ain't no cap. And I just want to say this one last thing. Thank y'all for sitting in this space with me. This video reminded me that grief and hope live in the same heart. Grief and hope live in the same exact place. They live in the same place. I love you too, baby. And that's what Split Hearts is all about. Like, I created that brand so that I can learn myself how to navigate my new life with the loss of my daughter and still raising my son, all while trying to help people understand that they are not by themselves. There's a lot of parents who have lost children and don't know how to navigate through it. Yes, there's videos, there's books, there are a lot of support groups and things of that nature. And I'm going to say this from experience. We as bereaved parents do not take on those resources enough. We do not take on those resources enough because we feel so alone in the battle. If you are grieving, please be gentle with yourself. Drink water, rest, remember their name, their love, their laugh, their smell, the journey. You're not alone, not here. If only you guys knew my life story. Man, what a whirlwind. So until next time, keep breathing, keep creating, and as always, Split Hearts fam, happy healing. I love you all.